All right, folks, how are you? Welcome to the Will to Win. I'm Will Cook, a psychotherapist, peak performance coach, and someone who's deeply curious about what drives people to keep moving forward. This podcast explores the person behind the accomplishments, the adversity, the lessons, and the mindset that shaped their journey. My next guest today on the Will to Win is six-time Olympic gold medalist Amy Van Dyken. Amy reached the very top of her sport, but the greatest test of her strength came after the medals when her life changed in an instant. Her story of resilience, courage, and an unbreakable will is one that you won't want to miss. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Amy. Amy's here with us. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Will. I'm excited to chat.
Okay, awesome. So take us back to the genesis of all this. Obviously, you're most known for being a swimmer. So take us back to the beginning of that.
So I had learned how to swim from an early age. My parents just wanted safety, all of it. But I am a severe asthmatic and I have all three types of asthma. So it's allergy induced, infection induced, and exercise induced. And I was having a hard time like being with my friends, like I'd go over to their house to spend the night. And if they would have like a dog or a cat or even a hamster or a smelly boyfriend, like, or brother, you know what I mean? Like I'm out. So I knew that things were different. And I just remember coming home one day from first grade and like crying because I was just told at that time that I was different. Why was I so weird? So my mom brought me to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, we've been researching and we understand that water sports are great for asthmatics. But the thing is, I'm also allergic to chlorine and I have exercise induced asthma. So, not sure what he was reading there, but it started the whole thing. That summer, I signed up for swim team, diving team, and synchro team. And diving and synchro did not work at all for me. I'm not coordinated. I'm not graceful. I am a deathly afraid of heights. So, like, none of that worked. But swimming was something that I just fell in love with. And, it's so funny when I tell that story, people are like, well, yeah, you won six gold medals. But what they don't realize is that I was that little kid that you watch and you like just grab your pearls because you're like, I hope this child survives. That would like take a couple strokes and I'd hang on the lane line and I'd start crying for my mom. And so it took me 6 years until I was 12 years old to finish 25 yards. And if you think about it, the pool that we competed in the Olympics is 50 meters.
Wow.
So it took 6 years to finish one length of the pool. But I was happy. I was doing things my friends were doing. I felt normal. The only time I didn't feel normal was when I was in a race. And I just kept trying to do better and better.
How did you stay with it? Because that's very incremental. How did you not, some kids get discouraged by slow progress. So what allowed you to kind of hang in there?
It was the only time that I was doing everything my friends could do. Like a lot of them were skiers and I couldn't go skiing. A lot of them played soccer. I couldn't play soccer. And so it was the one time where I was with all of them all day long. We were doing cheers. I had the swimsuit like everybody else. I was eating the jello out of the packet. It was awesome. And for a while I was called Little Amy, which is funny because I'm 6 feet tall now, but they used to call me Little Amy, and like all the big kids took me under their wing. And so I felt super special. And that's really what kept me going, was just the fact that I was with everybody and that these kids made me feel a little special.
It's amazing. So when we were talking last time we did the preliminary phone call or preliminary Zoom, you had talked about, and this might be going a little bit further, but we talked about you were leaving your nebulizer, I believe, on your inhaler at
Mhm.
each end of the pool. Was
Yeah.
that an early strategy as well? And how did you navigate that?
No, I just started doing that actually when I was at the Olympic Training Center. So,
Okay.
again, a 50-meter pool, and there's a lot of chlorine gas that's in the pool. So we just had one inhaler on each side of the pool. But when I was a kid, I would just have one on one side of the pool.
Okay.
With it only being a 25-yard pool, it was pretty easy to get back, even if I was having a hard time breathing. So, yeah, that technique came in later with my Olympic coaches.
So was there times where you were claustrophobic or were you shut down, or, and how did you deal with that? Because I mean, asthma is about, struggle, right? I mean, struggle to
Yeah.
breathe. And so how did you, I mean, you went to all the places you went to a pool.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean,
So,
it's like, that's like going right to it. So how
yeah.
did you work? What was your mindset? How did you learn to deal with that feeling or whatever feeling came up?
Well, I always felt like I was used to not breathing. So having my face underwater was no problem for me. And actually, as I started getting older and started getting better, it actually sort of helped my asthma out because it was a controlled out and a controlled in. And if you watch a lot of asthmatics, you'll see us like trying to get the air in and it doesn't work. So it kind of felt like it really actually helped it a little bit. I've never had the fear of my face being underwater because just like what I said, because like I know what it's like to not breathe for minutes at a time. So I wasn't worried about it. So when people tell me that's their biggest fear is to put their face in the water because they can't breathe, I can't understand that because I never had that.
So was the pool home? Did it feel like
Oh,
home?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I would be at the pool all day, every day when I was a kid. The only time I would come home was, I lived in Colorado, the 3 p.m. thunderstorms. I'd go back in the house and, do whatever. But yeah, I was always at the pool. And even when I was training at the Olympic Training Center, if I was having a bad day or a bad set, or I was not feeling it, I would go to the bottom of the pool and I would just look up. And the juxtaposition between the silence and the calmness that I was seeing, feeling, and surrounded by under the water, and
Yeah.
then seeing all the thrashing and movement up above me was so cool. I loved it so much.
Wow. So it was like calm within the chaos in a way?
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's kind of how I learned how to compete as well as I did was there was chaos everywhere, but I learned how to find some calmness in it. And I think it all came from just going to the bottom of the swimming pool and looking up.
Gives you perspective, right?
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's like what life is, right? I mean, you could be out. I don't know where everybody lives, but like in Colorado on I-25, if you're in LA on the 405, it is mass chaos. But if you hear a lot of people, oh, I put on an audiobook, it helps me. I listen to music, it helps me. It's the same exact thing that I was doing. It's trying to get your mind out of what is actually happening and center yourself again. And, if I could go to the bottom of the pool now, I would. But instead, I just go into my room, just have the dark, and I just kind of sit there and chill out.
Okay, so that's something you've learned now,
Yeah.
and we'll get to that later, which is great. So when you were doing this, that perspective, bottom of the pool, looking up and getting used to a certain amount of laps and moving forward, when did you start to separate yourself? Like, where did you start to show ability? Where, I mean, yes, you got to join your friends, but now you were going to step above your friends and abilities. So, what started to happen? What started to transform, and when?
If you ask me, it's because I grew and I'm just so stubborn that I didn't want people to tell me I couldn't do something. If you ask my father, it's because I watched Rocky 4. I don't know that Rocky had anything to do with it, but I started just getting to a point where I finished my first lap and then the next time I wanted to win a race and I did the next year. And then I tried out for my high school team and they only took the top 28 girls and I was like the last one picked. They didn't want to really swim me in a lot of swim meets because I was awful, but I got a chance to be on the relay for the last meet of the year. Well, the relay had won state since like forever. And, I didn't know the last meet of the year counted for nothing. So I was excited at that promise of me coming to practice every day, getting better and being able to be on that relay. And it happened. And I can distinctly remember, and it changed my life forever, Will. Like, I know it sounds dramatic and everyone's like, you were 14. But what happened was I was sitting there like behind the blocks and I was so nervous. I had a towel over my head and I was just like making deals with myself and making deals with God. Like, don't let me mess up. And then I won't beat my sister up, like all the things. And those other three girls walked in front of me. And you have to remember, these are the girls that I idolized. I wanted to be exactly like them. And they were just like, I can't believe they put Van Dyken on our team. We're going to lose for sure. This is crap. Why would they do this to us? And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Of course, I had all the feels, right? Like you go through all the, like, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm disappointed. And then I thought, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do?
Right, the stubborn
And
part.
right, it's something that I live by today.
Hello.
And what's funny, Will, is I led off the relay, and usually the very first leg can count for a time, like a world record, an American record, qualifying for state in high school. So that's what I did. I qualified for state as a freshman that was told she was so bad she couldn't be on the relay. We won the relay team that night.
You went from that barely getting picked to that.
Yeah.
And that was all because they stoked the fire.
Yep. Absolutely. And I
Wow.
say this all the time, like, I don't know if those girls knew that I was there and could hear them say that, but I thank them every day to this day, because without them saying that, I would have never had the will to do what I did. I would have never been so angry and, if I dare say, pissed, that I was like, you know what? Watch me. Watch what I'm going to do now. Not only am I going to do that, I'm going to break all of your records. I'm going to break the state records, which I ended up doing when I was a junior. I started breaking state records and everything I swam. By the time I was a senior in high school, I had qualified for Olympic trials for the 1992 Olympic trials at a state meet in Colorado.
Wow.
So again, don't you tell me what I can and can't do.
Okay. So that's going to lead me because in 92, didn't you miss qualification or?
I did. I swam two events, the 100 butterfly and the 50 free. 100 butterfly, I think I got 12th, which was fine. I hated that event anyway. And the 50 free, I got fourth, but I missed the team by like a hundredth of a second.
Oh no, but you knew you
Yeah,
were close.
I knew I was close, and I knew that 4 years is very close. So
Yes.
I'm going to keep training, and I'm going to go to more than just one event. Like
Oh,
just swimming one lap down the pool, not a good use of money and resources. So I want to go and swim more than one event.
okay. So more than one event. So now did you start amping up the coaching? Like what team did you have behind you now? You went from the high school situation and now you're going into like, champion like
Yeah.
conditions. So what started to change? Did you have a mindset coach? Did you have a regular what was your team like?
So we didn't have a mindset coach. We had a strength coach. We had coaches that had coached on the Olympic team. I was at the University of Arizona for 2.5 years, where I swam with Olympians, with gold medalists. I could see what they were doing, watch how they trained, watch what they ate. So when I left the University of Arizona to go to Colorado State, because I didn't want to swim at all, and the coach talked me into it, it really helped me be able to, within my very first swim meet, I was ranked number one in the country in all of my races, the 50 free, the 100 free, the 100 butterfly.
Are you? My goodness. And a lot of that started from somebody like just leveraging you by saying something that really triggered something deep within you. And
Mm-hmm.
that was like uh, awaken the giant within, so to speak. And it's
Right.
amazing that it was so explosive, though. I mean, you didn't stop from there; you went straight up, and um, so then, okay, so now the explosion, right, is 96,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yes.
So is there anything in between 92 and 96 that we haven't covered that you need to cover as that started to rise up for you?
Yeah. So as it started to amp up, I went to world championships and I got two silver medals in the relays and a bronze medal in the 50 free. And I was so mad that I got that bronze medal because I really thought I should have won that stupid race. And so there was a chance to be able to have one of the top 12 swimmers that could do this in the country pick up, move to Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center, and train under one of the best sprint coaches in the world. You would have all the technology behind you, everything at the Olympic Training Center at your disposal. I left Colorado State after 1 year. I went to Colorado Springs and I trained my butt off from 94 to 96 with the best of the best.
You now knew what the possibilities were. Like you didn't have the best of the best scenario, and now you did, and you're like, wow, with this technology and with this coaching, I can take it to the next level.
Yeah,
Level up.
absolutely. Absolutely. My coach was one of the first ones to do lactic acid testing after races, after workouts. He was one of the first ones to use underwater cameras with like digital, like showing you where you're having too much drag, all those things. They're still using all of that today, which is wild. So he was really ahead of his time. But I had all of that at my disposal. I knew what my body was doing at every single minute of the day. We would get blood work done once a month. I could tell you where my cortisol levels were. I could tell you
Wow.
where everything was.
Wow. What and
It
you
was nuts.
did now, do you mind naming that coach? Who was
Yeah,
that?
his name is John T. Skinner.
Okay.
And he's from South Africa.
Oh,
And he broke the world record in the 100 free a week after the Olympics. He wasn't allowed to participate in the Olympics because of apartheid. And the
oh,
world record in the 100 free was broken at the Olympics. And he broke it, like, I think a week or 2 weeks later.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
So you
awesome.
so you really had a plan now, and you could
Yes.
see the results, and you could see the stuff in your blood, and you could see where you were at, and you probably had the breathing down too.
Yeah. Well, and I always say like my best event, the 50 free, I only took one breath. So it kind of like took that out of the equation altogether.
Can you tell us more about that? Like, how is that even? That's two. That's like down and a down, right? One down
No,
and back.
just one way. And my race was 24.7 seconds. And I can hold if you've been to Colorado, I can hold my breath through the Eisenhower Tunnel, which is 2.5 miles long. I would, if people are listening and they're like, oh, I want to try that, make sure I've done it both ways. Make sure you're the passenger, not the driver. Just, just a tip from old Amy.
Safety's first.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. So, I remember Michael Phelps talking about things like if his goggles filled up with water and stuff like that. Did you have contingency? Like, did you know where you were in the pool at all times, even without vision? Like, was there a way of counting strokes, and different things? Did you have a way of keeping track in case something happened?
Always, always, always had a backup plan with every single thing that happened. And I always wore contacts when I swam. So if my goggles filled up, then that was a disaster. But there were some times where we would actually train for that disaster. So we would train with the goggles in our mouth. We would train with goggles filled up. You got to get used to everything. And that's what I would do also when I visualized, because I was a big visualization person.
You were saying that. Good.
I mean, I've got some weird visualization stories, Will, if you want them, like wackadoodle. So,
Come
okay,
on.
I'll tell you one of them. So, what I would do is I would visualize every night before I went to bed the swimming pool, right? Like how I walked onto the deck, where I sat. Then I would do the races. One race where everything went wrong and I won. Race where some things went wrong and I still won. And one race where I absolutely did everything perfect and I won. Your mind starts to not understand that it didn't really do that. And so you can trick it if I am understanding right. I know you know more about that than I do.
You got it. Go. Yeah.
Okay. So I would do that all the time. And I remember my roommate in college was so annoyed because I had sticky, like the post-it notes
Hmm.
everywhere. I wanted to break the American record in the 50 free. The American record was 21:92. So I was writing down 21:7, 21:7 everywhere, sticking it everywhere. Go ahead and guess what my time was at NCAA's.
What was it?
21:77.
That's crazy.
Can't
You
make it
know,
up.
going back to what you were saying is the mind doesn't know the difference between what's happening, what's vividly imagined. So that mindset is really there. And I don't know if you remember Dan Jansen, the speed skater,
Oh, yeah.
he had the challenges in the 500 and the 1,000, but then he loved the 500, but hated the 1,000. And he wrote on post-it notes, I love the 1,000, I love the 1,000, I love the 1,000. And he had a little bit of a slip in his final Olympics in the
Mhm.
500, and all he had left was the 1,000. And they said, look, whatever happens, happens, just have fun. And there was a little bit of a slip, and he regained his composure, and he set the world record.
Yep.
And
I remember
it
watching
was
that.
it was it was unbelievable. But the post-it notes, like you did, was instrumental because he had to change his mind about the 1,000 to embrace it.
Yeah. And I think that's what you have to do with anything. And I remember watching that race of Dan's. And I remember when he slipped off the start and we were all like, no.
Oh,
And it was almost like those girls telling me that I wasn't good enough, right? Like something was telling him he wasn't, and he's like, and another thing, I'm going to show you how to do it. Oh, that was so wild. I loved it. Best race ever.
it's amazing when it comes to fruition. It's almost surreal.
Yeah.
And people don't realize when they level up the manifestation, when you're preparing for something and then in real time you can actually almost observe it happening, and
Yeah.
it's a weird feeling to it because it's that what you've been asking for is now reality, and it's there's a lot of mind prep that goes in with a lot of this, and maybe you didn't
Yeah.
have a mindset coach at the time earlier. I don't know if you got one later, but you were doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
You had your post-its, you had your visualizations. So you didn't need a mindset coach because you were the mindset coach.
Right, I guess so, right? So yeah, I never had a mindset coach. I just always knew that it worked. And I remember at NCAA's when I did the 21:7, it didn't even feel like I was swimming. It was weird. I just felt like I could go as fast as I wanted to in that water. It was so out of control. Like
Yeah.
you could definitely tell that my mind was like, oh, been here, done that. Let's just go. It was the flipping coolest thing ever. It was one of my favorite races. And, it just pure joy at the end because I was like, I can't believe it actually worked.
Does work. And if you ask the greats like Wayne Gretzky or Michael Jordan felt like he could slow the game down. And Wayne Gretzky talked about he kind of knew where the puck was going before it went there. He could
Yeah.
anticipate it. and they just were on another level. And
Yeah.
they even talked about Messi when he looks around and he scans the whole field and he has a sense of the whole field, and then he can almost like he's playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. So,
Yes.
but you saw it. You were in such a zone. You were in an observer position, I think, where you were actually observing yourself doing it.
Yeah, I absolutely think so. Like when my husband played football, he could actually see when the ball was snapped to him for like a field goal or a punt. He could see where the laces were as it was spinning. So,
Mm.
yeah, really good athletes can slow things down so that their body can catch up. It's just wild. And I love hearing these stories. They're amazing, but they happen all the time.
So tell us about aspects of the swim itself, because we're looking at you guys touching the wall and then somersaulting and then flipping to go back the other way.
Yep.
So, and also touching to win, and I guess your stride, having to guess your stride. So, is that how do you get that timing down for all that?
It's just all practice. Every single lap that I ever did in an Olympic sized pool, I counted how many strokes I took. So I can tell you in a workout, I would take 26 strokes freestyle every 50. And so then I knew, then I knew in my 50 free, if obviously my tempo would speed up, I would usually take 40 to 41 strokes. If I took 42 strokes, it was over. It was done.
Wow.
Like I wasn't going to do anything. So
So
yeah,
you didn't have to look at the clock sometimes. You
no,
just
I got to the point where like a coach could be like, tell me when 30 seconds has passed. And I could almost get it almost exactly.
okay, based
Yeah.
on the counting strokes and things like that.
Yeah. Or even when I'm just sitting there, like I used to be able to tell you like, oh
Oh,
yeah,
so
it was.
your sense of what 30 seconds is, as a therapist slash coach, I can tell you, usually my appointments are 50 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
I could tell you where we are in the session oftentimes without really looking.
that's so cool.
Because it's just, you just do it so much.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and then also like even with this interview, I I'm letting some of it organic, but also I'm trusting what I've read to come through. And then we're playing off each other in a way like a flock of birds,
Yeah.
where you kind of know where the next thing is going to go and that kind of stuff. So you had this sense of what 30 seconds was. You
Uh-huh.
you had your own internal clock in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was almost spot on every single time. And a lot of us were that way where we could do that. So it was pretty cool. It's fun to
Okay.
be able to do that. Fun
Awesome.
party game, Will.
Fun party game, and Party City.
That's right.
So okay, so right. So now you're getting were there trials before the Olympics?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you what, the Olympic trials is the worst swim meet in the history of ever. I say that as someone who has been a participant and as someone who now works and is around these athletes, because you can only, the first one that touches the wall goes. If so many people do that so many times and make more events, then the second person gets picked. But you're not guaranteed if you're the second place person. A lot of times you have world record holders that just barely miss making the Olympic team. You've got people like my last Olympics in 2000, we had a 14-year-old girl, Amanda Beard, make the team. We had a 15-year-old boy, Michael Phelps, make the team. They knocked out people who had American records, world records. So you've got like the high of these people that aren't supposed to make it, making the team, and then the low of so many other people don't make it. So it is such a weird feeling on that pool deck. It's very tense. I tell people if you can just get through Olympic trials one time before you are trying to make the team, if you will, do it. Even if you go as a spectator, because it is a learning lesson for sure.
So you could have a PR, but somebody could set a world record, and that throws you out.
Yeah, or even I mean, the times could be slower. That you could have a PR and the times are slower than anybody else's swim, not even breaking a record, and you could still miss the Olympic team.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That,
it's a lot.
that's grueling, because you can get your hopes up and they can be dashed by something out of your control, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. And if people are swimming more than one event, they've got to, as my coach told me, you're in 96 at the Olympics, your emotions are a gas tank that you cannot refill. And he told me, he's like, you're swimming 5 events at these Olympics. So if you use all of that emotion gas tank up on the first swim, you only have half a tank for 4 more swims. So you gotta chill it out.
Wow. Okay. So you have to have that mindset to stay kind of even
Yeah,
and
very even.
almost stone cold in a way, and
Yep.
stoic. And
Yep.
and so then, okay, let's do this then. So your first gold medal in
Hmm.
'96,
Yeah.
you got a whole bunch of stuff going on there. What was that like, and which event, and what was it like standing on the podium? Like, feel free to answer that in any order you want, but
Yeah. I mean, well, my first one was a relay.
okay.
And it was right after I had collapsed in the 100 free the night before. So they didn't even want me to go on the relay because I'd have to swim 100 free again.
Mhm.
So anyway, we ended up swimming it. We won. We broke a world record. And then I was told I went the fastest split in history. It's because the coaches didn't want me to swim it.
Ah,
Oh,
stubborn.
yeah. So it was stubborn. Yeah. But my first individual one, I'll tell you what, if you look at it, the excitement after the race is amazing. Like I almost jumped out of the pool because it was the 100 butterfly. But if you watch me on the awards podium, I'm like almost not there
What was that?
because I couldn't get too excited because I had 3 more races, 2
In
more
in
races.
in what period of time?
So I swam those 5 races in 6 days.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So I had one day off where I could just like chill out, sleep in, cheer on my teammates. So yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was so much fun. But yeah, the last podium, the 50 free, you can definitely see a difference in my face. I'm like, let's go. We're partying tonight. Champagne's on me. Let's go.
So, I mean, like, how do you? I mean, so you're going from like exertion, a high emotion, back into training, back into the pool for the event, and it's like, so
Hmm.
like, I mean, and are you going out and doing things? Are you going out to restaurants in the village, or are you really staying quarantined, or like, lack of a better word, but
Yeah.
what are you doing with yourself?
Yeah, I mean, we're basically quarantined. And what's wild, Will, is that we're so quarantined, right? So we go from like a bus or whatever to the pool in a back way. Then we go back to the Olympic Village. We eat, we get our massages, we go to bed. So I didn't, this is so stupid to even say, and forgive me, but I didn't realize what a big deal the Olympics was until I was covering them for Fox in 2012. And where we were was where the entrance exit was. And I remember I was just standing there looking out at the window. And my producer's like, Amy, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is a lot of people. This is a really big deal. And he's like, okay, are you all right? Like, I just never realized because, we just saw the pool and the swimming. We didn't know all the other fuss was going on.
Wow. So, it's funny because, it's like, and also in the arena where you're swimming, I don't know how many people are actually there, but your head's underwater most of the time and you're focused and stuff. And that was probably the biggest crowd you saw, unless you were you at the opening ceremony or?
No, no, because I swam the very first event of the Olympics. So I couldn't,
Oh,
I've never gone. My parents have gotten in the lottery twice and they got to go both times. So that was pretty cool. But I've
oh,
never been
that's
to an
really
open
cool.
ceremony.
Wow. So you were like, you thought the Olympics were the pool and the cabin or wherever you were staying.
Yeah. Yeah. The pool in the Olympic Village. That was it. That was pretty
That's
normal.
that's crazy.
It was nuts until in 96, like we went to Michael Johnson, the
Mhm.
track runner, and Dan O'Brien and I, we had the same agent. So we had a big celebration party for all of us. And like Billy Baldwin was there and he's like, Amy, come here and take a picture with me. I'm like, what
You,
is happening?
you know me?
Yeah, right. I was like, holy crap, this is nuts, man.
That's crazy. And
Yeah.
did you say that you and Johnson had the same agent?
Yeah. Me, Dan, and Michael all had the same agent.
Wow, because Michael had a really good '96 Olympics, right?
A great 96 Olympics. But what I still like to tell him is that 4 is more than 3. And I was the most decorated athlete, male or female. Sorry, MJ.
Wow,
I
that's
love
awesome.
him so much. And we used to always joke with each other, the 3 of us.
Of
So, but
course, I mean, of course, because you guys what's beautiful about being together is there's a knowing through the three of you there's an unspoken knowing, and it doesn't matter what sport.
Right.
It's knowing what it took to get there, knowing the mindset, and then probably playing around with each other's minds a little bit, saying, "Oh yeah, whatever." But that's just part of the banter that would go along with the Olympic champion.
Yeah. And I always tell people, like, if I am not making fun of you at some point, I don't care enough to talk to you. Like, be afraid if I'm not harassing you, because that's
Amy's
when it's,
Amy's a little quiet right now. She must not like me.
yeah, that's exactly right. People say it all the time. But if I
Right.
harass you and make fun of you, I love you. So, yeah,
Okay.
it's a good thing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So now, what about fame?
Oof, that was wild. So,
Okay.
coming home from the airport in 96, there were limos and buses to take all the fans back to wherever they parked. They shut down the highway. There were helicopters above us. News cameras were like, we could see it in the limo with the TV. They were following us. We got to my parents' house where they were going to have a party outside. There were snipers. My parents lived like 4 doors down from a school that I went to. There were snipers on the roof.
Wow.
Then I went to New York City, and my agent's like, let's just go to Times Square. Of course, she knew what was up. I didn't know what was up. We go to Times Square, and she goes, look up. And I looked up, and one of the buildings that had, like, one of the LED screens, it was me doing the milk ad. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Yeah. Fame is crazy.
So now, like, did people start recognizing you everywhere you went?
Everywhere. I had to have security for a while everywhere that I went. Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember I'm a big Denver Broncos fan. I ended up marrying one later just so I could get free tickets. But anyway, but I was a huge Denver Broncos fan, and they had won their very first Super Bowl right after I had won the gold medals. And I remember telling my security, oh, I'm going down there. I'm going to the parade. Like, I want to celebrate with them. And they were like, you absolutely will not. So I thought I was being sneaky, and I got in my car and I tried to take off, and they had the cops pull me over. So
Okay, maybe that's where your stubbornness didn't work out.
also, that is where it didn't work out. But then I got so stubborn. They were like, you're not going to the parade. So I was like, I'm going to find one of those hot players and marry him so I can be in the parade next year.
So, all right, shout out to your hubby, Tom.
Shout out, Tommy.
Awesome. So, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, right? Because you got married after that, right?
After 2000. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll talk about him and your competitive nature with him later, but not yet.
Okay.
So not yet. So, okay. So you wrote 4 events, boom, golds, boom, probably TV appearances. Were there endorsements too?
Oh, yeah. Yep. I endorsed from everything from Speedo to Purina. Obviously did milk. I was on the Wheaties box. I'm trying to think what else I did. I did some asthma medicine. Duh.
Hello, anyone?
Right. Hello. It's Captain Obvious here. So yeah, yeah. Like, pay me to do that. It's fine. Yeah, I had a lot of endorsements. I was working all the time. And I wasn't training at all. I was just like, oh, I'm done. Like, I'm going to retire now. Like, whatever, it's over.
Mm.
And then there was an itch. I remember watching World Championships, and I watched the girls swim, and I was like, oh, I should be there.
Is that what got you hungry again?
Yeah. Yep. It was just watching the other girls.
Okay. Now there was some injuries, right? There was a shoulder injury going into 2000.
Yeah. So right after I had gotten back in the pool, I had lost so much weight. So I competed at 163 to 164 and a half pounds. And when I came back, I was 140.
Mhm.
So it was, I had lost a lot of muscle. And so I didn't have the stability in my joints anymore. And I ended up tearing my rotator cuff. And then I kept swimming with it, and it just destroyed everything. So they told me I would never swim again. You're probably done. And I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. So I got back in the pool, kept training, did my very first race. And I remember I threw my arms forward for the start, and I just heard it. It just didn't sound good at all. So 6 months to the day of Olympic trials in 2000, I went in for my second shoulder surgery. They
Okay.
told me I was done. I would never swim again. You're lucky if you have kids, if you can pick them up. So I called my coach from CSU, John Matos, and I said, hey, John, I want to go to the Olympics. What do you think? And he's like, let's try it. And so trained at Colorado State University and made it in 3 events.
So again, people were saying you couldn't do stuff. So
Yep.
then so you're like, okay, and then you had that reservoir again that you fueled or took fuel from.
Yep.
And but you also, I guess, recognize some limitations as well, right? Like in other words, that
Yeah.
you're going to have to reduce the number of events.
Yeah. So I wanted to repeat or at least swim every event that I swam in 96, but I
Okay.
couldn't do a stroke of butterfly. So that was taken out of the repertoire. So the only thing that I had was the 100 free and the 50 free.
Mhm.
So the 100 free, I made it for the medley relay and the free relay. And then I made the individual 50 free, which
Okay.
was fine. Yeah, it was great. I was more than happy.
Okay. All right. So so you did it again. You added two more medals to your arsenal. That's six in total, right?
Oh, I wanted to say three too. I gave myself one
I was
more,
like,
Will.
I was like,
I
I
got
thought I did my
sassy.
homework.
No,
I
I
was
know.
like,
I got sassy right there. Even as I held it up, I was like, that's not right. I only have six. Anyway,
okay,
yep,
maybe you
locked away.
visualized three. I don't know.
Yeah, it's in my
That's awesome.
pocket.
So now were you able to relax a little bit in the 2000, like take in the Olympics a little bit more?
Not really, because I really wanted to do well for my teammates, for
Okay.
myself, for my coaches. So no, I kind of had the same plan.
Mhm.
Just the whole first week is just swimming, 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 and then the second week you could go out and kind of enjoy yourself. But I had to go back because I had a wedding to plan. And I remember I'm in the airport in Australia and I turn and I look and I see Bob Bowman there with little Mikey Phelps. And I go up to him and I go, Mikey, what are you doing? Like, why are you leaving now? You need to go to closing ceremonies. And he's like, well, and he, 15 at the time, he's like, well, I got to go to high school. So my first day of high school is in like a week. I got to get back. And his coach, Bob, was like, why are you going back, Amy? I was like, I have a wedding to plan. I felt really old at that time.
Wow. So you all right. So you already knew that that was going to be
That was it.
the swan song for swimming, and
Yeah.
then of course starting the next phase of your life. And Tom, who was a kicker and a punter for Denver.
Yeah. He was a punter and a holder. Yeah. So he held for all the field goals. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
also punted. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And um, so the mindset, right? Did you guys click right away because of that common mindset trend, or is it was it something else?
I thought no. But then he asked me where I lived. He knew where I lived. He lived across the street, which is weird. But in between us, there was a park that he would always go out and punt at. And I remember me and my girlfriends would be out there drinking wine, going, oh, look at that poor guy. He thinks he's going to be big time in the Broncos, whatever, loser. Well, it was the punter for the Broncos for 10 years. So my bad. But when we first met, he knew where I lived. Oopsies. So
Sorry,
he
honey.
asked me, sorry about that. And he asked me where I lived, and I told him, he goes, oh, yeah, you have a black lab. I was like, what? Dog barked at him all the time.
Soccer.
So he knew the dog, right? And I thought we were just like, oh, hey, what's up? And then I was taking my brother the next week to go to the University of Arizona where he went to school, and I had a going away party for him. So I had all this like decoration on the outside of the house, bon voyage, good luck, goodbye. Well, apparently him and one of his friends drove by my house and saw that. So he called and he's like, hey, so where are you going? So I think he liked me a little more than I liked him at first, but that's okay. It worked out.
He was persistent.
He was persistent, and I was like, I'm not dating a football player. So I'll just
Well,
marry him instead.
how'd that go?
Yeah, right. It's going well so far.
Yeah. So okay, so there's that, and you got married in. Did you get married in 2000 or 2001?
2001. Yep. And actually, the night before our wedding, my husband got drug tested from the NFL. We love telling that story. So we're all partying, and he's doing his business with some stranger in a bathroom somewhere.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right.
So there was that.
There was that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So all right, so
Yeah.
2001. So
So
a
yeah,
lot,
that was awkward.
yeah. Uh, I kind of like was thinking about something logistically, and I came back into that and didn't hear all of it. So I'm kind of hoping that I think I missed something pretty substantial there. So what happened? There was an issue?
Yeah. So we were all celebrating, like getting ready. The wedding was the next night, and he got drug tested. The NFL
Oh,
came and they were like, so anyway, here's a cup. We need you to pee in it.
oh, okay. And he tested.
Yeah. So he gave his sample right there, and then we got married the next day.
Oh, okay. All right, got it. All right,
Total
that's
athlete story, right? Like,
yeah.
who does that?
Who does that? Who does that happen to?
Right.
Um, so yeah, so now we're getting into the post-career stuff.
Hmm.
Like, was there a like a letdown or a like like they talked about the astronauts going to the moon, coming back, and then getting a little depressed because everything that they were shooting for is now past. So
Right.
did you have a point where you were kind of like this new identity post swimming? Like what did you do?
No, I never did. I was constantly out doing stuff for sponsors. And then I got a wild hair to do a celebrity sportscaster day in Denver. And because they had called and asked, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So as soon as I walked off the set, they hired me to cover the 2002 Olympics in Utah with them.
Okay.
And then from there, I did a couple of series for Fox Sports Net at the time. And then the Denver Broncos hired me to be their sideline reporter. But then got traded. So then I started working for NFL on Fox. And I didn't have a letdown because I was just working. I've never stopped working ever, which I love.
Yeah, and you okay, so you did some coverage for football and you did some swimming stuff later on.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah. So that was a lot of swimming. Well, I did swimming stuff kind of in the beginning because I was working for Fox before the 2012 Olympics. So I would do a lot of packages, those little things you see on TV, like where they're like, and we're going to go and check out Amy who's talking to Michael Phelps. I would do those. I would host them in the studio. So I had always been doing stuff. But I really wanted to get back to radio because I was on a morning radio show out here in Arizona for years, and we were the number one show for a long time. And then I got into more of the TV stuff, but ended up being allowed to try out for. I was with Rob Dibble, and they were like, he's kind of a little weird. We don't know if you guys should work together.
Used to pitch for the Reds, I think.
For the Reds, yeah, they called him the Nasty Boy.
Yeah,
Yep.
he threw pretty hard actually. I mean, I think like 100 miles an hour or something.
Very hard. Yeah, he was amazing. And after the first 2 days, Rob was like, yeah, you're my partner. So I was the only female voice on Fox Sports Radio at the time, which was, when I say voice, I mean like on a show consistently as a co-host. And I was living out in Los Angeles. We were rocking and rolling. We were absolutely killing it. We called it the Nasty Boy and the Queen of Chlorine.
Chlorine.
Just awesome. But like we were on Sirius, so we were pretty much everywhere. It was amazing.
You guys, that's interesting because you're just such different people or characters in a way.
But also the same.
Okay.
We used to have so much fun during the commercial breaks, things I cannot tell you, or else we would both be arrested probably at this point. Remember, it was a different era.
And your PR guy would call me and say, you got to edit that.
Yeah. Oh, my PR guy would be like, so anyway, Will, this conversation.
I'm not really happy with this.
That's right.
Wow. So that was a good part of your life. Now we're getting closer to a very significant event. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to share before we go into that.
Nope. I think we're good to go because that's where it happened. I was on vacation.
Okay. So we talked about everything leading up, your trials and challenges with asthma leading up to becoming an Olympic level swimmer, winning medals, having, shoulder issues, different things. Your life stage stuff, getting married, but now we're going to get into probably the one of the most important levels up and transformations out of something that many people would when they hear about this, they're going to be surprised. They may not know this. So take us to 2014. I think you and Tom were on ATVs.
So yeah, so what had happened was we were on vacation from the radio show. We came back to Arizona, and it was a golf course community, so you didn't drive, right? You took your golf cart or whatever. So we went to dinner, and he took his motorcycle. I took my ATV, just like we would normally do. And we go into the restaurant, said hi to everybody. I ordered trout and steamed broccoli. I tell you that because it's not important. Also, I was very healthy. And then I remember pushing in my chair and that's where my memory stops. But I can tell you what happened is that something was wrong with Tom's motorcycle. Okay. Normally, he would have taken off in front of me, but had he done that, I wouldn't be here because he wouldn't have found me. He said, go ahead and go, babe. And so I got on my ATV. He said he was watching. He goes, what the hell does she think she's doing? There was no movement, no screaming, not even a flicker of a brake light. I hit a curb, like that's in the parking lot. And I went over a 6-foot cliff in the middle of the air. I wrapped backwards around a tree, landed, and the ATV landed on my head. So, yeah. And he ran down and he looked down, and I was face down, and he could see that my back was broken. Like it was really pretty gnarly. So he got down there and saw I wasn't breathing. So he lifted up my neck, and I started convulsing, and my eyes went 2 different directions for about 5 minutes. And then Flight for Life came. And once they got me stable enough, they put me in there, and they told him, they said, her head injury is so bad, do not expect that she knows who you are.
Wow. So it wasn't just you breaking your back, you had a massive TBI.
Yes. Yeah,
Wow.
I had a lot wrong. And like when I dislocated, one of my vertebrae was actually, if you take a hair off your head, cut it in half, that's how far away from my aorta my vertebrae was. So if I had been moved weird, I would have bled out. So yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just having a visceral response just hearing this. It's like that's intense.
Yeah.
So when did you come to?
I came to the next day. I was in the pre-op room. My husband was there. My doctor was there. And I kind of got lucid. And my doctor was like, you're not understanding what I'm saying, Amy. These are your x-rays and it's not good. But I have the best cardiothoracic surgeon in state, in the country with me. We're going to try to get you out of there. But I'm letting you know right now, if I can't get you out of there, we are going in right now. And I need you to say goodbye to your husband. And so I looked at Tom, and it was so weird, Will. It was like matter of fact. And I looked at him in the eyes and I said, babe, I love you. And if I don't make it out of here, I want you to date. I want you to get married. I want you to be happy. I want you to have a life. And he whispered in my ear, if this is too much, you can let go. I'll understand. And to me, that was a challenge.
Okay.
Yeah. And so after that, I got wheeled into the OR. It was silent. People were moving very methodically. There were 4 people up against the wall to my left with waders on and igloo coolers. And that's because they were there to get my organs. Yeah.
That's surreal.
Yeah.
So all right. So what then after that, what happened?
So I was in surgery for over 9 hours. I came out, went to ICU. Obviously, I stayed in ICU for about 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something in there. And there's a point 72 hours after you have a severe injury like this where your blood pressure can plummet and they can't stop it because you're going in spinal shock and you pass away. So they were watching me very carefully, all the things. I had friends coming in, family coming in, trying to keep everything light. Once I survived that, and I got out of ICU. Well, first of all, my dog was deputized. My dog who ended up passing away, he got deputized as a Maricopa County sheriff so that he could come and see me.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that cool? So yeah, I actually have a picture of Tom behind me. I'm in the bed, and then Kuma's in front of me. But
I'm so
um,
glad that had a happy ending. When you said deputized, my brain was like, what does that mean? And then I realized
oh,
he had honorary status, which allowed him into the hospital.
yes,
Okay.
yes, because apparently there was
Finally, good
some.
news.
Yeah, woohoo, big good news. Yeah. And I remember that, well, this is so wild. When they put me in the first wheelchair, when I was in ICU, they're like, okay, we're going to put you in a wheelchair so you can move around. I remember I felt so comfortable. Like I kind of knew that that was my path. I knew that that was my life's goal, my life's journey. I knew that
Okay.
this is what I was here for.
So, I mean, you were probably really grateful for being alive, knowing what you saw just before going into surgery and knowing how bad the fractures were and
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and saying goodbye and all that stuff. So at this point, you had prepared yourself in a
Mhm.
way for it sounds like almost any possibility.
Anything. Yeah. I mean, I had died several times in that accident. I even have on my wrist, I have a phoenix. And if you look really closely, where it is, oh, right here is where the last time my heart rate went wonky in the accident. And then it goes into my normal sinus rhythm. And this is actual tape from, I asked the ICU nurses for it. And so, yeah,
You got the phoenix rising from the ashes, and you have that. Oh
yeah,
my God, that's incredible. So when did you know that you were paralyzed from the waist down?
immediately. immediately, because I knew that I couldn't feel anything. I knew I was getting tons of fluids and I didn't have the urge to go to the bathroom. I knew that people were coming in every 2 hours to change me from my right side to my back or to my left side. Like you know, and when your husband walks in and you don't have the tingles in places you normally did, like you're paralyzed. So
Mm.
nobody actually told me that I was. I always knew it. So I just knew that it was going to be a new chapter in my life. It was another challenge.
So you knew because you know you have a mindset, and you know because you're an Olympian, so you're gonna in a lot of ways transfer mindset from that to recovery and to rehab and stuff like that. But you can't always guess someone else's mindset. So what allowed you to trust that Tom was going to be right there next to you?
Oh, because I wouldn't have married him if he wouldn't have been. Like I knew this early on. I knew that if anything happened to either of us, we would be there through thick and through thin. And that's why it's so important, like when you're looking at a partner in life, like that that about this person, because you never know what's going to happen. So I had no doubt that Tom was going to be there.
That's amazing. Now, did it get dark at all? Because I mean, obviously, 1 minute you're using your legs and now you're not using your legs and you're also learning new things. And we had talked in the preliminary call, like I think initially when you were in the hospital, I think for 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
I forgot the
At
name of the
Craig
uh,
Hospital.
Craig Hospital. It took you like 2 minutes to get in and out of bed or something, and now
Yeah.
it's obviously different. But what was it like? All you had to learn so many things, probably with OT, occupational therapy and
Yeah.
physical therapy. You probably had to do a lot.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I thrived when I was in that environment. I really did, because I was learning how to get my life back. And so I looked at it like training for the Olympics. And I remember a lot of times I would be in physical therapy, and we would have group physical therapy as well as one-on-one. And I'd be in a group and these people were like quitting. And I'm like, how can you quit? But I think it's because my mind knew how far I could push my body, but they didn't have that experience. And so it was very different for them. But I thought of it as like, learning a new breath count in the 100 butterfly, or learning a new kick pattern in the 50 free. Like I just took it as that. When
Well,
I got out of that hospital, it got very dark for
so,
a little bit.
okay, so tell us what was the reason behind that? What was that distinction?
When you're in the hospital, everything's made for you. It's
Okay.
accessible. Doors are wide enough. There's no carpet. There's
Right.
no stairs to get in your house. Then you go in the real world, and the wheelchair that I had at first, this one can get through any door, but at first I couldn't fit through a lot of doors. I had a hard time on carpet. At the same time, I'm learning how to manage my bladder, which is paralyzed, and my bowels, which are paralyzed. So there I was, a 41-year-old woman pooping her pants. And sorry to be so graphic, but like it happened.
Reality,
And
though,
like,
the viewer needs to hear this.
yeah, it's reality. Or like, I remember going through a Walmart and Lee's like, ma'am, you're spilling your water. I'm like, I don't have any. Oh my gosh, I'm peeing everywhere. So like, I thought about it, like, I'm a 41-year-old woman and I am having the same things go on that my 2-year-old niece is having happen right now. It was very demoralizing. And at that moment, when I started having those awful thoughts, I was like, stop. This is a moment. Take it, put it in a ball so you can look at it from all different angles, see what made you upset, how you handled it, how you turned it around, and put it in your pocket, because it's going to happen again and you're going to need to pull that out.
So
So
you
I
create.
decided, I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
No, no, go ahead, please.
I was going to say, I decided that when I started having those bad times, to turn it into a moment, because I don't know when my life is going to be over. Nobody does. And
Hmm.
so I didn't want my last memories to be, or like people's memories of me, like complaining and sad and crying. I wanted it to be like happy and like I always am. So I decided to make it a moment and not a whole day.
Well, you also created what I call a reset, and we use this with athletes as a reset. And did you just spontaneously come up with that ball, and you're going to put that in the ball and put that in your pocket for another time? Was that
Yeah.
something you had learned, or you just came up with that at that moment?
I just came up with it because I
That's
was like,
amazing.
with the ball, you can look at all the different angles, right? Like you can see
Yes.
it from so many different. And so I just thought of it that way.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And you were always, I think one, having asthma early on, being an Olympic athlete and training like that, I think that you're focusing on trying to breathe better, be better as a swimmer.
Mhm.
And now that you're injured, quality of life getting better at that. better at looking at the positive and seeing, what's good about things, because you also learn that things can be taken away in a moment.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so then you made those adjustments, and you didn't live there, where some people would live in that. And it's like, oh my
Yeah,
God, I'm humiliated. I'm peeing everywhere. I'm doing this. And they would be stuck in the, oh no, I thought life was going to be this way. And they stay depressed rather than, okay, it's not going to look this way. I have to accept that it's this way. And what am I going to do with that?
right.
And so you had to, it sounds like you had to learn procedures, a lot of procedures,
A
and,
lot of procedures. Yeah, a lot of medical stuff,
and
which was just
planning
weird.
probably, right? So whenever you go to do something, you probably have to plan.
Exactly, because I know, I have to use a catheter every 4 hours to go tinkle. Like every other night, there I am in my queen room with my YouTube on, doing my bowel program. So yeah, I mean, but what's cool about that though, Will, is that I thrive as an athlete on being regimented.
Gene
So
enrichment. Yep.
exactly, like don't get me out of my routine or else it's all over. Like I'm gonna lose a gasket, something's gonna happen. So like it's just routine for me. It's just kind of like wake up, drive to the pool, put your suit on, get in the pool, warm up, kick set, pull set, swim set. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like
So
that for me.
what about like travel and stuff like that? Is that, do you still do that? And do you have to plan especially for that? And
Yeah, I make special plans for sure. I mean, I always have to call the airline, make
I was
sure
going
that
to
I
say,
have a window seat, because people ask, why do you want a window seat? You have to crawl over. But I also can't move. So if some guy has to use the men's room in the middle of the flight, I don't want a strange man crawling over me. So
right.
I always do a window seat. I always call the hotel. I want to make sure I have a roll-in shower room so that I can take a shower. I try to make jokes about it, like, oh, thank God, now you don't have to hose me off in the parking lot. But I always plan for that. I plan for what's the worst that could happen. So, like, I went to Cannes, France to give an hour-long speech, and I went by myself. I had the best time. But I planned, what if I can't get home for a week? So I brought enough medical supplies that if I had to stay there another week and a half, I would be just fine. But it's a lot of packing.
I bet you've made some really great friendships and created relationships, because now you're probably used to speaking to certain people, and then people you have to tell, you end up probably telling your story.
Yeah.
They end up finding about who you are. And then you probably have people that in different cities, I would imagine, or different places.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously I didn't know anyone in Cannes, but had I gone to Paris, I would have been able to go out with some of my friends from the Paris Olympic team. So, yeah, anywhere I go, like there's always a friend, which is great. I think it's wonderful. I'm really lucky.
Wow. Okay. So it's been okay. So, well, I don't want to get too far ahead yet, but I
Okay.
mean, okay. So you're still, you're adjusting.
Mhm.
And do you have like all the amenities and things that you need at home? Like, do you have like, I think I saw a YouTube or an Instagram with a lift in a pool.
Yeah.
Is that home?
Yep. That's my house.
Okay. Tell me
Yep.
about that.
Yep. So I've got a lift to get me in and out of my swimming pool back in my backyard.
Okay.
Um, some of my cabinets, I hit a button and they drop down.
No way. That's cool.
Yeah, it's so awesome. I've got the car wash, which is my shower. So everything was made accessible and I was lucky enough, a reality TV show came in, George to the rescue, and redid my house.
No way. That's awesome.
I'm so grateful and thankful for them for doing that because it has changed my world forever.
Wow.
But yeah, I just, if it's not accessible, I make it accessible. If I need to reach something on a top shelf, I'll jump onto my wheel and grab it. I've got long arms, I can grab things. So, I fill my own gas. And I always love it when guys like are watching. And at first it was unnerving, right? I was like, why are these guys staring at me? And then I realized there is nothing sexier than a woman with 26-inch wheels attached to her butt.
That's beyond awesome. I love that. So let's I mean, obviously you have the sense of humor and you just see the bright things. So then let me ask you a question. You talk to a young lady or a young man. They just found out today that they're paralyzed. Um, what do you say?
I do this a lot, actually, as a matter of fact. So I get to know them as a person first. And then I just say, hey, listen, I was in your position 12 years ago. And I know exactly what you're feeling. I know exactly what's going through your mind right now. Trust the process. It
Okay.
will get better.
Mhm.
Probably after a year, you're going to be rocking and rolling and not even like thinking back to these days and you'll laugh. But you've got this. And just make sure that you do everything that these doctors tell you to do. Make sure you push yourself as hard as you can. But
Yes.
once you get out of here and once you get past that hump, life is amazing. And I tell them things I've done. I have a mountain bike. I've been snow skiing. I've been water skiing. I've rock climbed. I've jumped out of an airplane with SEAL Team 6. Like I have done everything in this wheelchair. And the only reason that it ever holds me back is if I let it hold me back. And that's what I tell them.
Amazing. Amazing. You participate in some wheelchair games, correct?
Yes. So,
Wad?
yeah, wheel wad games. Yeah. And now it's actually that division has gone into the actual CrossFit games. So that's what we were trying to do back in the day. Adaptive CrossFit had just started. And so they were like, Amy, why don't you try to do CrossFit? Well, in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it unless I win. So I started qualifying for all of these big events. And I ended up getting second in the world in the women's wheelchair division. I looked at the girl who got third and I was like, hey, Sydney, you know what's really sad about this? And she was like, what? Because she thought I was going to rail on the girl that won because she could walk. I didn't care. She was following the rules, like whatever. Now the rules have changed. But that's what she thought I was going to do. I said, I'm old enough to be your mom and I just kicked your ass.
It was Amy. We know who that
She's,
was at that moment.
that's right. That's right. We're still good friends, so don't worry about it.
No, no, no. Yeah, but you love her because you messed with her that way, which means
Yep.
you cared about her very much.
Yep.
Um, what's okay? So we get into a different phase. You did some announcing at the 24 Olympics, correct?
Yes. So I've done the 2020 and the 24 Olympics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And so what's next for you? And anything that you want to plug, obviously, but what's your next iteration? What's your next level up experience? What are you focusing on now?
Well, right now, I really want to have a lot to do with the 2028 games in Los Angeles
Okay.
because the last time the Summer Olympics were on US soil, I became the first American woman to win 4 gold medals, which has only been tied, never broken. I want to watch it be broken and I want to grab that young lady and hug her as tight as I can and say what took you so long. But I want to
Is there somebody in position that you think
absolutely. Yeah, it's another young lady who swims the 50, the 100, and the 100 butterfly. Her name is Gretchen Walsh. She is amazing. I cover her when I would work for ESPN and cover the ACC championships. And of
Mhm.
course, when I do swimming for NBC as well. She's amazing. She could absolutely do it if she's on her game. Yep.
Wow, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
that must be cool to watch the up and comings. And it must be amazing to see the times they get to now compared to what they did 30 years ago or
I'm
what you
telling
did.
you what, looking at what these women are swimming right now, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I couldn't have even dreamed to go that fast. Like, they're going over a second faster than I did when I won the 50 free. They're going a second faster now. I'm like, what? This is just wild. I would be nowhere in the mix, but it's so much fun to do it. And what I love is, I worked for the Pac-12 network for a while, and that was one of the first phone calls that I got in ICU was the head of the network saying that your job is waiting for you whenever you're
My
ready,
God, that's
which
amazing.
was huge, right? So I got to go back and do that. It was just, it really helped me. So I got to see these young swimmers go from high school all the way now through the Olympics. It has been so cool. I also do the ACC championships, just won an Emmy for covering the Olympics in 24. Like, life could not be better right now. Like, I'm just having a blast. And, I hope those girls that made fun of me on that relay are paying attention. No,
I'm sure they are.
I'm
So, all right,
kidding.
a couple things. So you had talked about Amy's Army, which didn't lost some traction during COVID, and then you
Yeah.
also you donated towards wheelchairs, I believe. You talked about, correct?
Yeah. So what we did with Amy's Army is we did custom wheelchairs for kids that were under 18. The way that insurance works is we are only allowed to get one wheelchair every 5 years.
Mhm.
Kids, same thing, but they couldn't get a custom wheelchair. And that would cause all sorts of problems with their body. I mean, pressure sores and scoliosis and all sorts of bad things. So we donated wheelchairs to them, which I'm really, really proud of. But during COVID, I bankrupt us, which typical Amy. But yeah, so I haven't done that in a minute, but I am getting ready to start a podcast with my best friend. Her name is Dr. Lisa Stroman. She is a clinical psychologist and a lawyer, and it's going to be called The Power of One. So we will be talking to people who are doing amazing things in their field and who their power of one is and what that means to them. So we've got some pretty cool people already on the docket.
Okay, cool. When is that launched? Do you have an idea when that's going to happen?
If you ask my PR guy, who also works with Lisa, it was last March. So it should be any day now.
Okay, well, hey, listen, we're going to get it going here. Well, actually, are you allowed to say any guests yet, or do you want to keep that under wraps?
I can tell you that I have gotten a yes from Charles Barkley.
Nice.
We have gotten a yes from Dr. Drew Pinsky.
Dr. Drew from, yep.
Yep. And then
Where did we
Chris
read them?
Hansen from To Catch a Predator.
Oh, okay. All
So
right.
those are some of the ones that are confirmed, but that's kind of the angle we're going.
You were talking about during our preliminary call a little bit about John Elway, and I have an interesting John Elway story. In 1982, he played for the Oneonta Yankees, and he was trying to decide between maybe baseball, football, or whatever. And my brother was going to school up in Oneonta, and we saw John play with the Oneonta Yankees. And my sister-in-law at the time, she went down to the dugout with this 1982 Oneonta Yankee scorecard, and John signed it. So it's like yeah, so it's really cool story because it's that, that whole 6 degrees of separation Kevin Bacon thing. So when you were talking about John Elway, I was like, like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's a cool story because, a lot of people don't know. And you go back, I think Steinbrenner paid him $250,000 or something to play that summer and say, hey, let us know if you want to decide between the sports. And
yeah,
he had an incredible arm. He threw somebody out at third base from right field. And what he used to do is he used to have his teammates on the Oneonta Yankees run routes. And he'd say, I want you to run 10 yards, turn around quickly, put your hands up really quickly because I'm going to have the ball right there. And they wouldn't get their hands up fast enough, and he would hit them in the head, and they would have a little X in their forehead from the tip of the ball. So I just wanted to share that story with you because you had the John Elway. I mean, are you and Tom still in touch with John at this point?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. John's a great guy. Just love him to death. He's so special. Like, he actually taught me a few things. Like, you talk about the instant fame. And I remember we were sitting at dinner and someone came over and they're like, I'm so sorry to bother you, Amy. Can you sign this? I was like, oh, absolutely. He goes, as he's cutting his steak, if they were sorry to bother you, they wouldn't come up to you. And I was like, oh, good point, John. He taught me how to shake hands with people so that I could get out of it if they kept holding on to my hand. He taught me a lot of things, like when you're signing things, you change your signature every once in a while and you write down how many you did that way and where you sent them off to, so that if people start selling your autograph, you know where you sent them to.
That's a nice tell. Yeah.
Yeah. So he taught me a lot of cool things. And yeah, my husband and him were teammates, and they used to go snowmobiling together all the time.
Love snowmobiling. Yeah.
It's so much fun. Yeah. So they used to cut it up back in the day.
Awesome. So is there anything else that you want to share that you haven't, or tidbits for the young people, or anything of encouragement, or anything about future plans that you haven't talked about yet?
No, the one thing that I would say to people is, if you're getting picked on at school, or you're getting picked on, in a locker room or on the field or in the pool or whatever, just remember that jealousy is a very nasty lady. And a lot of times when people are making fun of you, it's because they see greatness in you that they could never find in themselves, and they're envious of it. So just remember that and keep pushing through.
Awesome. All right. Well, Amy, thank you so much. You've been an amazing guest and very helpful to my process and to people out there who are going through difficult things. And I have a saying, getting through difficulty is the crucible that forms character. Or surmounting difficulty is the crucible that forms character. And you went through something. You're inspiring for what you did well because you were so repetitious about it. But you were able to do that overlay between what's amazing and you took it into a dark spot and you made it amazing. And I love your attitude. And the
Thank
first moment I spoke to you a week ago,
you.
I felt instantaneously connected to you and safe. And I feel like you really bring your authentic self forward for everybody to see.
Oh, Will, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. I really, really appreciate it. I've loved chatting with you. We're going to have you on our podcast. It'll be like a switcheroony,
I,
and
I,
we'll have fun.
I'm saying yes, and I'm holding you to that. So anyway, folks, this is Will Cook signing off from the Will to Win. See you next time.